Good morning, Doc here from North America, and good afternoon, and good evening to some. So we see it all. Let's see how we are streaming. Just making sure we are. There we go. I hear you. Uh-huh. No internet issues today. I like that. Yeah. Let me lower the volume. And let's see, where's it at? Right there. And you can see the dollar versus the Swiss. It's going to be a very, let me say this first. It's going to be a very active week. Federal Reserve is having, a meeting, and it's going to be, a news conference at the end. It's going to be like, it could be pretty wild. I think there's a lot of potential out there for activity. We're seeing some strange chart patterns that are starting to kick up, like as if money's starting to anticipate certain events to occur, like way more rate increases than are talked about. So we shall see how that plays out. But as you can see here on the where's it at? There it is, the Swiss. You can see it on the Swiss chart. You see it's still moving down, which means the dollar has been moving down, losing value. And over here on, let's get that up there. Where's that mouse at? There it is. And over here, looking at the Swiss there, same situation. They had some weakness on Friday, but it's still popping up, and we've been in a daily sell now for 3 days, it looks like. Let's put that line in there. Right there. So the pressure is on the dollar at the moment. Hard to believe interest rate increase. I mean, we've seen now the Bank of Canada, the Bank of Australia, the royal banks of both, and we've seen ECB, and we're seeing a little mental alteration going on there about printing money forever. I guess people are getting nervous about the inflation. Politicians usually don't pay attention to it until people pay attention to it. So they just spend. That's what politics is all about. Spend your money for you. And so that's where we are right now. You can see the dollar is weakening. There's some type of anticipation of a weak dollar and stronger currencies, which says a lot. That seems, in other words, are the other central banks now starting to move away from the Federal Reserve's tightening or discipline or structure, or however you want to describe it, its envelope? Are we starting to see a change here? It feels like it, but then, as an old trader, I know one thing for sure, and that is never fight the Fed. I mean, they have more money than, they'll invent money. They just create it out of thin air, so it doesn't really matter. And I guess that's the question is, are we falling into a situation now where there's a lack of respect? That's not a good thing. That will weaken the dollar. We've talked about this throughout the years. And we said the only way the dollar really becomes, downgraded in a sense, is when people lose confidence in the dollar itself. In other words, they lose confidence. And so far, I don't see that, but it's starting to act a little like that. That's what I want to say. We're seeing a little flavor of it. It's actually starting to. It's like a cake being baked. You can smell something that smells good. You're just not sure yet what it is. And as the hour goes by, then the flavor and you go, oh, I recognize that. That's a cake being baked. And so that's where we're at right now. Are we starting to see some type of lack of respect because Mr. Biden has lost credibility everywhere on the planet? And in the United States, the Republicans are going to do incredibly well over the next 48 hours. And the fact that they're not able to steal an election is going to freak out a lot of people. I'm sure the Democrat base believes that they can steal forever, or spend your money forever. So that's the type of people they are, and that's what is coming up on us. Is that maybe we're starting to see that, and I'm seeing it in the charts. The charts are starting to reflect I showed it to you on Thursday. I think it was Thursday, where the 6 month is trading. Was it trading lower than the 3 month, and the 20-year is trading the same way. So in other words, the yield on the 30-year is lower, and the yield on the 20-year is higher, like the 1 month versus the 6 month. They're starting to do that, and that says that they're starting to anticipate that as their bonds are they expire, then the rate is starting to go up and the slope is starting to go up, and that's starting to be something weird, Evening, Doc. Well, evening, Santiago. How you doing? And middle-aged, good evening to you. Could you take a quick look at gold, Doc? I'm thinking about adding Feb calls. Let's take a look. I saw the weeklies jumped up. I did see that. To start off the week, it's looking very firm. There it is right there. Deck gold. And look at the way the week... Oh, didn't mean to grab that. And look at the way the weekly has launched itself right off the opening. Remember how silver did that? And then silver got real strong and then it stalled out. Here's silver. Silver spiked towards the end of that. I guess I thought it was the beginning of it, but it was that week. It went into the buy, and then all it did is sell off. So it looks like it's doing that same thing over in the gold. Let's see how that plays out. If we can get into, like now, we're starting to flirt with a daily buy. We really need this to get into a daily buy, not hang out in this volatility signal daily sell that we have for the last couple days. And the weekly's lifting up. We need both of those to join in. So be careful. Not yet middle-aged, but close. Or you buy them and you sell, turn them into bull spreads, and then you take off the top. Turn them into a binary, and then take off the top as it confirms the signal. This way you're halfway in there. For Santiago, yep. Let's see. I am doing fine. Thank you very much. Just looking at a lot of different events starting to develop. Like I said, I'm watching. We talked about it on Thursday. I showed you the chart on that about the idea that the hump. They call them humps, because it looks funny out of nowhere. It's like a hump on a camel, and then you keep on going. So in other words, the hump is not at the tail of the camel; it's in the middle of the back. So it's like, whoa, what's that? And that's what we're seeing now in the bond market. We're starting to get those humps in the middle. Now, that to me, the only way I interpret that is that there is much more anticipation of more rate increases coming, which is going to be very fascinating to see how that plays out. And we'll see it in the currencies. That's what we normally do see. In this case here, because fundamentals don't seem to make sense anymore, you would assume, since it looks like American interest rates are going to rise, you would think that the dollar would be firm. But what we saw last week with the Royal Bank of Canada, then the Royal Bank and then Christine Lagarde a day later with the ECB, European Central Bank, and then a day later in the Royal Bank of Australia, they seem to be busting away a little bit there. Just keep an eye on all that. Was thinking about Ezekiel today and his wheels. Yeah, you were saying that. The spiral, basically. Yeah, that's the, we talked about this. I've seen a GAN plastic sheet that goes over paper charts that was developed by GAN, back in the 40s or 30s or something like that. I saw one of those in Chicago. Matter of fact, I thought Robin had one even. It emulates the spiral, and you can put it onto your paper chart when you're paper charting a product. Find a starting point, and then it kind of gives you I guess you could call it like an analog of the Fibonacci sequence versus a digital. When we look at the Fibonacci sequence, let's go look at another product that we have Fibonacci on. Is it cable? Yeah, there's cable. When you really look at this, let me scrunch this up. When you're looking at that, that's kind of like a digital way of looking at the Fibonacci sequence. Okay. When you look at the spiral of the wheels, it's the analog way. So in other words, it's flowing, and you can see. And let's see if we can get a GAN spiral on this. I've never really tried doing that electronically. Maybe once or twice I have, but not enough to make me think about it too hard. Let's see if we can emulate a spiral. I know they have the tool here. They have all these, Fibonacci tools, pitchforks right there. Can you see that? I think it'll show. Oh no. Okay, here we go. Let's go up onto that. Right there. So this is like the digital way of looking at Fibonacci. Okay, it breaks up. There's pockets, from one number you're looking for to the next. Whereas in the spiral, let's see if we can find the spiral. The spiral is designed. I guess this is Fibonacci speed resistance. Let's see if we can come up with that. So in other words, you go like that, and it's more of a digital thing. I'm sorry, an analog thing. In other words, it's constantly flowing. Matter of fact, if you go to there, what do we learn from that? From the starting point here, I guess that's like the first spot. It was like some type of bottom there. Then it takes it up to a top here, but it takes it to a top there also. And then this takes it to a bottom. And now we are at the lows right there. I don't do enough work on this, and I think that it's interesting that we could explore this during the webinars. It could be a way for us all to learn from it. I know, like I said, I don't, but I know there's many a tool. See, there's extensions, and I think there's a spiral in here somewhere. There's pitchforks. Pitchforks try to do that. I mean, that's what pitchforks are all about. Something like, you do this, and then you find the top, like that. I guess now it's like that. It's a top, and then you bring it down to the low, and it's trying to tell you where it's going to go, continuously. It kind of gives you an inwardly rhythm. Let's get rid of that. Let's see if we do this. If we widen this, like that. There we are. And you can see how it closes on one of the pitchforks. You set the pitchfork from here to there, right? From here to there, and then you can see how it gravitates. Comes up, hits a resistance, falls back again. It hangs out there, tries to make a low here, bounces back up, closing wise right there. It's kind of like an analog versus a digital. And I think that's the best way to describe the spiral versus the Fibonacci sequence itself. There we are. But yeah, I think Santiago, we can explore that idea a lot. I think it'd be well worth doing it live too. This way we could have a conversation about it, and we could all learn from it. Like I said, I have not dedicated a lot of time because my math is so just basically my math is just better. So, there's not much of a reason. I mean, I've looked at it. I've tried to find other math that would complement my work or lead my work. Instead, my work is the lead, and nothing seems to complement it. And so that's half the reason why I've drifted away from that over the last few decades. I've just run out of desire to try to find anything that helps. I mean, I went from Thomas DeMark to, all of it. I've tried it all, R.N. Elliott. I've tried to get this stuff, and try to co-mingle it with my math. But my math is just so ahead of everything that it's better to refine my math than to worry about trying to find somebody with an indicator that would help enhance my work. It just doesn't seem to happen. The most I could say is I've taken the stochastics, what we see here on J4X, right here, and I've taken the stochastics over the decades and commingled it with my math, smoothing my formula out. But I'm not using just a raw stochastic. I'm using a stochastic that is integrated into my math. Does that make any sense? Okay. If it doesn't make any sense, say something. If it makes sense, then you don't have to say anything. But you're always welcome to say anything. So that's where we are. So, as we look at the cable this morning, again, the cable's doing that spike like we saw in gold. but you know, we'll see if, you know, the cable's in a daily sell for 2 days, you know, yesterday and today. What do we have on the fact check? Let's see the fact check. I think it's 1 day, 2 days. Cable 1 day in a sell now. Yeah, look at Aussie, 21 days now in a buy. 3 weeks in a buy, 21 days in a buy. They knew, obviously, money knew that the Royal Bank of Australia was going to jack its prices, just like you can see it in the Canadian. Same thing. You see the strength in the Canadian. Money knew it was going to be different, changing from the Federal Reserve's throw money out the window attitude. All right, let's jump over to the euro, right there. And let's just do this on J4X real quick. Let's just take a look at the cable while I'm there, and then we'll go over to the euro. Yeah, there's a cable. As you can see, our work is trying to. No, that's the euro now. Let me go back to the cable. There it is. You can see our work, you know, dipping down the last couple of days, and you see the same thing on the J4X, and that's why we do that. Yeah, I really think that makes some sense. I would like to re-explore that. I really would, just because of my experience and knowledge base now is greater than the last time I looked at it. You never know what we could come out of that. You know, there might be something there, and there might be, there's got to be a tool in here somewhere that will match. You know, I've seen it say it. The Gann spiral. Where's it at? Let's see if we can find it. You're seeing that, so I'll look on that then. Let's see, where's it at? I have seen tools. Okay, here we go. There's tools there. So there's Fibonacci tools right there. Gann tools, okay, like right there. Gann square. That's one that I always found fascinating. The Gann square. Take it to the high. I guess you just bring it across. Not sure why we're not seeing the Gann square, but I guess we have to change the colors. And there's the Gann square. I guess I didn't change all the colors. So what do we do? Let's make that like red or orange. Let's do that. There we go. There it is. Let's see what that does. We'll have to explore that. See what things we can derive from that. Because maybe that's the natural instinct right now, is to go retro and try to you know, help people with these tools, because the markets do follow them very closely. Hence, my math has never been better, because my math is ahead of all this stuff. You know, it precedes it. It's been really accurate. What else can we say about that? I guess that's about it. We will start to look at some of this stuff, and we'll see what other tools that might be floating around in here. Let me go back to that again. So there is that. So arrows, eclipse, see Fibonacci tools, time zones, trend-based extensions, trend-based lines, speed, and speed resistance fan. I would have thought the speed resistance fan would have been interesting. Then Gann fan, we just tried that. And the Gann squares. Just go back to that one more time to see. Where is that? There it is. Speed resistance, resistance arcs. And I know what you mean too, is that spiral you're looking for, where it starts and doesn't meet again. You know, just like, you know, it's like a spiraling, like a tornado or a funnel. Water funnel. All right. Yeah, we have to get into that, Santiago. I agree with you. I think it's well worth hunting down. We'll go after it. Let's take a look at some of the charts. Unless we can we can go explore a little bit more. But let's see where they're starting the week off. There's the euro. Boy, Friday they really pounced on this stuff, didn't they? At the end of the day, and then and you can see they're trying to lift it up today. Look at weekly. Weekly is trying to join the cable. See what it looks like over here. There it is there. That's the cable. The cable's trying to lift. Yeah, I mean not cable. I'm sorry. The euro against the dollar is trying to lift. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a volatility. It's truly a warning week. I mean, not counting the fact that we have unemployment at the end of it. But we have this Federal Reserve. This could be the Jackson Hole moment that they've been delaying. Notice under the Democrat, leadership, they can get away with delaying this stuff, and the media doesn't say a word. But when there are fiscal conservatives running the country, any delay is always framed like as if they're hiding things. They're hiding it. Trump's hiding it. He's hiding it, or he's stealing it. But for the Democrats and the socialists, the media is in their pocket. So instead, it's just delayed. That's all. No problems, no worries. It'll happen. But you see Biden say that all the time. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen now, or 10 hours from now, or 10 weeks from now, but it's going to happen. And the media loves that. They go, oh, okay, good. It's going to happen. All right. Yeah, it's crazy stuff, isn't it? All right. From there, we go over to the Turkish lira. Right there, it climbed into the buy on Friday. And I just want to see a fact check. I honestly don't remember typing it in, but I did. Okay, yeah, it did close in a buy there on Friday. There it is. And so you can see the strength in that. Holding on tightly, and the weekly is holding on tightly. I guess we can move this box all the way down now. It's not stopping, is it? That weekly buy is just holding on there. See, Santiago says, an indicator measures a function of your market over a specific time, right? Gann showed legendary market guru Wyckoff Sr. his entire system. Yeah, well, he didn't really hide anything. Gann was very deliberate in proclaiming how well that old form of mathematics worked in modern markets at the time, back in the 1890s and 1910s and 1920s and so forth. He was very quick to show that. There was no doubt about that. I mean, there was no real secret. I don't know. We might want to do, not might. We probably want to do is we probably want to get an old Gann book, or a Gann description, how to read Gann, and see what his rules are. Then take a look at the spiral, combine them all together, and see if we can understand how he was doing things. 2-week average. That's what I'm thinking. 14-day. But it really is not, right? Like a 10-day average would be that. I always felt the same way about 9. 14, 9, then you had your 50, then you have your 100-day, and you have your 200-day. There's things that people gravitate towards. And they're taught in graduate school for these hedge fund managers and so forth. And so, it could be that. It could be half moon cycle. Yeah, that's a good one. Santiago goes, why the number 14 has become a default for the indicators or nearly every platform. Wyckoff designed his early indicator to measure the cycle of the month, of which 14 days. Yeah, half of it, 50 percentile. I used to follow Lloyd. Was it Lloyd Cope or Cope Lloyd? Lloyd Cope, I think his name was. He was an astrologer who followed moon cycles, and I talked to him once in a while. He's been passed now for maybe 20 years. And Lloyd Cope, I think his name was, and you know, yeah, the moon cycle was very important. And there's a fellow out of Israel for decades who followed CMEs, you know, corona mass ejections and so forth. And he was a big and then once, if you notice, once quantitative easing got going, none of these things have as much validity as they used to. The moon cycle in the early indicator was never meant to be universal. W.D. Gann used many cycles over different time frames. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I do too. That makes total sense. But now that we're in the quantitative easing era, there's not much to be said more than that, really. It really isn't. I mean, the markets are nowhere near. Like I follow now, was it Weatherman? Merriweather, and his work is nowhere near what it used to be, because the Federal Reserve is, you know, running markets now. You know, Moses Malone, the basketball player. You mean Fibonacci and stuff like that? Moses, like in going into the desert for 40 years, Moses. Let's take a look at the euro against the Turkish lira while Santiago comes up with that. I think he means Moses, like who went into the desert, Moses, who parted the Red Sea, or the Reed Sea, I think it says in the Bible. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's always been a question mark about, you know, the whole Exodus thing, you know, and you know, because it's not exactly recorded in Egyptian history, so you start to wonder, you know, a couple things, like, you know, the not the validity of it, but the timing and the cycles and so forth. And then Velikovsky, there was Emanuel Velikovsky, a Russian-American scientist from the 20s and 30s that collaborated with Albert Einstein at the end of his lifespan, Albert Einstein's lifespan. And they wrote a book together. And it followed a lot of Moses' stuff. Let's see, 40 years? They weren't in the desert for 40 years. They crossed into Sinai. They crossed across the into where was it? Into Saudi Arabia, which what is called Saudi Arabia today, and so forth. They roamed around. Why they waited 40 years? The philosophy is to reprogram the slaves to be free people, so their children grew up knowing freedom, so that when they took over the country and they were in their 30s and 40s, you know, then there were free people who ran Israel, not slaves. It was something about that programming type of thing. All right, now, why am I going into? Oh, I know. We're going in to look at the Euro-Turkish lira. That's what it is. There it is, right there. Now you can see that's trying to dip back down after 2 days in a buy. So Thursday and Friday was in a buy and then backed off. Yeah, so that's the philosophy, or the idea of it all. So they roamed around, they bounced around, you know, kind of, you know, building up their strength and their numbers, and you know, and kind of not being challenged by anybody, and then just staying, you know, a large moving force. And then they got to a point where they were, you know, predominant for a couple thousand years because of it. And so you can see here on the euro versus Turkish lira, it's backing off. It's trying to drive down. All right, now what can we say about either of those? Let's take a look at it over on J4X too. And there it is right there, euro Turkish lira. As it calculates. There we go. And you can see here the last couple of days pressing down with the stochastics. And what's that? 3 out of 5 red bars on Hinky. Pressure away. That's what it is. It's pressure on the products. All right, now let's jump over to the Canadian. And you see how the Canadian's been going. It's been in a weekly sell for, let's see, where's it at? Let's put it up on here too. Right there. And you can just see here, Canadian is line 20. 4 weeks in a sell and 3 days in a sell. So that pressure is on the product there. In other words, it's gaining against the dollar. They knew. There was money that knew. And you can see it right here, that all that action down. They knew that the central bank was going to be doing something like starting to give up on taper. Now, if they're moving against the dollar, I mean, in other words, if the dollar is going down against these products, does that mean that the interest rates are going to rise faster in those countries and slower in the United States? I'd have to assume that. You know, I mean, I cannot imagine any real fast movement until November of 2022. That's how I see it. Just like under Mr. Obama. They talked about raising rates by a 1/4 percentage point for 7 years. They raised it once, that was it. 7 years. But they talked about it every quarter, and there was never a discussion in the media like, oh, are they politically holding it down? Of course they were politically holding it down. That's why there was no discussion about it in the media. If they weren't doing it, you would have heard it in the media. And so that's where we are now. As you can see, money is starting to move away from the dollar because they're thinking that rates are going to be higher in other countries. So that's where we're at with the pairs. That's the only way we can interpret that action. We'll let our math tell us in the end. But what we probably can count on is some type of tapering that really starts to establish itself going into the second part of, or at least put it this way, the first quarter going into next year, if not more, going into the halfway through. You got to assume that they are going to do their best to play games with money, because that's who they are. That's what socialists do. That's exactly what they do. They take your money and they spend it. So they want to keep on spending. And that's where we are on that with the Canadian against the dollar. Now, because of that, you know, we always assume because of this big long, not that, leave that right there, this big drive down right here, you know, we assume that oil is going up in value. At the same time, we believe silver and gold are going up in value. So let's take a quick look. And we will explore that later, but what's going on here? There is gold right there. Let's take a look at gold. And just as we did for middle age, you know, you can see the weekly is launching. It's kind of been a slow, steady upstroke, you know, coming from the 1720s, and now we're flirting in the 1820s, right? There's 1815, 1812, and now it's at 1989. So it's been on an upwardly slope from 1720, just the same way that, let's put it up on the J4X. No, we'll go back over to Chicago instead, because I want the gold to be there. Just the same way, you know, Canadian's been going down, like that. And again, I have to throw that out there. When we look at that, we have to assume that money knew that they're getting, you know, maybe it was 2 months ago when Mr. Biden really started falling apart. Maybe it was 3 months ago. I mean, you can see it goes back starting in September, and here we are on November 1st. So obviously, you know, a month and a half ago, something like that. You know, let's scrunch that up a little bit, because I want gold to be on the screen at the same time. So we'll leave that on J4X. Yeah. So see here, going back into August, you see these peaks going to the top end of the range, and the market rolling over. So you had this nice move here going up. And then they must have, you know, the more Mr. Biden got weak and started presenting himself as a disaster to everybody besides us who watch, Now you see it goes up and challenges again in mid-September, and then breaks down. Here we are in November 1st now, and the product has come down from 129-ish area to the 123-ish area, 123.7 to be exact. So money new, and they're moving away from whatever's going on. Now, like I said, this week is going to be volatile. There's going to be some action because the bond charts are showing it. The bond vigilantes are starting to stir. They're starting to do their interpretation of what they think the Fed is going to do. And that's because I'm seeing that odd distortion between the 10-year and the 30-year. The 20-year is higher. And the same thing with the 1 year, the 1 month to the 1 year, the 6 month is higher, or the 3 month is higher, something like that. You know, there's a hump in there that shouldn't be there. So that says money is starting to anticipate a change in interest rates on some level here that are going to be a little bit more profound than normal. All right, heading over to, let's see, what do we got here? There's the gold up on J4X. So now let's go over and take a look at, well, let's look at silver. And then from there, we'll do oil. And there's silver. You can see it's a little bit higher today than Friday. You can see the daily is trying to lift up. Matter of fact, you can see it's at 0, -1. If you're watching this box right here, right there, you can see it. You know, it's gone from 0 to minus. Now it's 0 again. You know, it's playing with now it's minus again. It's playing, trying to get plus. And at the same time, we are in a weekly buy again, going on a third week. So there's no doubt that the metals are becoming more popular. Definitely more popular. Now let's take a look at oil. That's not it. Right there. Oh, and let's do this too. I just want to see what silver looks like on J4X. Yeah, it's trying to turn up also. Like the way we are, right? Where's that? Right there. Trying to turn up. You can see our math has been bottom 3 days back, and it's trying to lift. We're in a weekly buy. So all you traders out there who follow Doc's webinars obviously know what that means. Strength is coming somewhere. It's trying to go up in value, that's for sure. Now, let's see. Let's take a look at the energies, and then we'll head back to currency pairs. Right there is light sweet crude. As you can see on ours, it's been climbing for a while. And a weekly buy since here. So that's climbing up. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. And getting towards, is that the high of is that like a 2-year high now we're looking at? Or maybe it's like a 5-year high or something like that. Let's just take a look at it on J4X. Let's go back and look. We're going to throw a monthly in so we can get a flavor of it. Oh yeah, what is that? 2018. Taking out 2018 highs, but not Mr. Obama's 2014 high yet. So this product is finding a way to go up. Mr. Trump found a way to make it go down by, I know that the socialists think it's magic of some form, but what they did is he just allowed us to dig it out of the ground. Somehow or another, that's bad stuff to them, bad juju. You know, it's bad magic. And instead they see it much more healthier, the socialists, to throw that money to the communists, the old communist Rhine, the old Russian communist Rhine of old, who is now the Russian Federation, which is more capitalist. But they're still throwing them a bone somewhere along the line. They're buying their oil. They're asking, also the Saudis, they're asking the Saudis to produce more. So they want to give the money to the Saudis and they want to give the money to the Russians, and they don't want to give the money to the Americans. So American politicians are trying to keep money away from the population. In other words, I guess they're pro-inflation and all. Their policies are, let's put it that way. Now, let's go from the Canadian back over to the South African Rand. Right there. Activate. And let's put the daily back in. And let's go to the South African Rand. Right there. As you see, it keeps on going up in value. I'm confused. You know, I keep on expecting it, you know, to go into a sell, but it's not going into a sell. How can you have a weak rand and strong metals? Usually, that's not the case. So something is truly going to be volatile. Markets, you can tell one thing for sure, and that is markets are anticipating a few different things that are going to happen. And one of them is that the bond traders are anticipating bond increases, many more than the media is talking about. And then, what else is there to be said that's being interpreted? Something else is being interpreted oddly, too. I forget what else, but that, without the doubt, the bonds are the ones the most. Obviously, the stock market is interpreting that the money is going to be for free forever. In other words, they can't let go. They have to keep on holding these markets up, because if not, then people will really be angry. We're already at a point now where almost 70% of the population here, over 70% actually, it's like 72%, that thinks that the country's going in the wrong direction. And that means, and it's something crazy, like something like 35% of them are Democrats that are saying that. So I don't know how they get out of this mess. This one's going to be really for the record books. How do they convince the country that the Democrats and the Socialists know what they're doing? I don't know how they're going to do that. In the next 24 hours and 48 is going to be very fascinating, because if they can't steal this election, they're not going to win it. You know, the only way the Democrats are winning elections anymore is by stealing them. So they have to do. I heard they tried to apply so that the election could go on for 5 full days. That means they'll find a way of making anything and everything vote by the time they get to the end of it. But that didn't happen, thank goodness. All right, where are we at here? But that's not a joke. That's real. They applied to a judge trying to get the election extended for 5 long days. So in other words, tomorrow night, the election won't be over with. It'll go on for 5 more days. Even with early voting going on in the state to begin with. I don't understand what the malfunction is there. I think they made the case, if we can start voting 5 days earlier, or 10 days earlier, why can't we vote 5 or 10 days later, too? Man, it must mean they need to steal way more votes than they can. All right, where are we at here? We're looking at the South African Rand, and disappointed that it's not going down. You can see the weekly tried too. It had that depression in there. And let's widen this out over on J4X. You can see the same situation going on. It just keeps on moving up. I don't know, it makes me nervous about the metals complex. I say middle age, go with the binary. Oh, let's see Nifty 50, sure. Right there. Don't we have 2 things on there? Oh yeah, we have the Brazilian real too at the same time. So there it is there. There's Nifties. You see that right there. It went into a sell. What is that? That's Friday. So Friday it went into a buy. Oh, it's not open yet. No, wait a minute. It should be open. It should be open by now. Let's give this a refresh. I bet the SPY's up. Yeah, there it is. There's today's SPY. So, what's up with the Nifty? The Nifty is not doing its thing yet. So it went into a sell on, oh, there it is there. So it went into a sell a couple days ago. Closed in a weekly sell too on Friday. You see that pressure there. And that's the Nifty 50. And then the Brazilian, okay, there's the Brazilian. They're updating that now. And you can see here, it's moving up a little bit more today, but it's still in a daily sell, and it's been in a weekly sell. So that's just like some type of background noise. You see, it was up 1.4%. What, today? I wonder what quotes I can get from it. Let's see. Yeah, let's see if I can find a quote on it. Let me see, what is the symbol on that again? INDY. INDY. Missing the I. INDY. Why is it doing that? It doesn't want to do that. Not there. Backspace. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. No wonder. Okay, our keyboard. INDY. There it is. Smart. Okay, yeah, it closed at, yes, I see it. It closed at 51.68. Right there, see that? Right now I've got a 52.09 bid, so it's bid up in here somewhere. And the offer is 74. It's that high up. So it's like, let's see. So it's something like that right now. And you can see here it closed in a buy. I guess they knew too. So it closed in a buy on the 28th. Went the wrong way. And closed in a buy yesterday. But it went into a weekly sell. Huh. We'll see what how that all plays out. Let's see. The first quotes of that should be very interesting. But yeah, that's where it's at now. It's way up in here. That's where it is now. It's up there. I had to take it down to take it up. The classic. Take it down to take it up. Yes, indeed. All right. Where do we go from here? I'm going to save this. I want to take a look at the ruble real quick. Let's do that. Let me just close this. Save workspace. Save workspace as that. This way we keep that in there. There we are. Now let's take a look at the ruble. Right there. Ruble's third day in a buy, kind of moving up, but our weekly's been in a weekly sell for a while here now. Over on fact check. Let's see, where's that at? Ruble. Right, where are you, ruble? There it is. 12 weeks in a sell and 3 days in a buy. That's what it's doing there. There we are. Looks like Dow is ready for new high. Oh yeah, I think it's at all-time highs again. That's what happens when the Federal Reserve puts in 120 billion every month. They throw 120 billion into the marketplace every month. It's a lot of money, especially when you don't have it. They just invent it. Boy, you would think they'd be selling the dollar down, don't you? How bad is the rest of the world that they can't sell the dollar down because of the Fed policies that are actually in our face live? You know, how bad is the rest of the world in? You got to wonder, how bad is it? That's probably why the Russian Federation and the communist China refused to show up for this meeting for the G20. They probably don't even want to talk to them. Yeah, they don't even want to hear it. Yeah, they have their own issues they have to deal with, let alone dealing with Mr. Biden's crazy. Oh my God. All right, heading over to the yen, right there. The yen is trying to move back up, means the dollar is getting stronger against it. It's trapped right there. It's trapped in a weekly buy. See that? Trapped in a weekly buy right there, and it's trapped in a weekly buy. And it tried to go into a sell for a couple of days. You had a sell there and a sell there, and now we are flirting with the buy again. And who knows where that wants to end up. But I imagine if you put a Gann spiral to that thing, it would probably be much higher, that's for sure. Then the last currency we look at is the peso, the Mexican peso there. Doom, doom. There we are. Look at that. It's marching up. Fourth day of that daily buy, and we're in the weekly buy. No surprise there. The thing nice about this Mexican peso, though, is it charts really well in our math. You can see it, that when it goes into a sell and you got red dots, this baby likes to go down no matter what the weekly's telling you, and vice versa. When it does that, boy, what a winner chicken dinner that one is, huh? This one stopped you from losing this nice big win, and so it sells down. But what it does, it sets it up for another big win again, and now you're long from the the 2031. And now it's trading at 2070 and change. 68 right now. High is 71. So it's definitely a winner chicken dinner, that's for sure. Do you know your CCI song, CCR songs? Creedence Clearwater Revival. Yeah, I remember. I remember Creedence. We used to call them just Creedence. Yeah. Yeah, good old Creedence. Let's see what song should. I guess we're going to go after that one. Muddy Waters? Isn't that one of them, Muddy Waters? I was reading. It's funny that you mentioned that. Here's a really strange thing. I was reading a story about the yield curve this morning by a website that's called Muddy Waters or something like that. It's actually called Muddy Waters. And so, yeah, I didn't think about Creedence though when I saw that, but that's the name of the website. Yeah. Just thought that was interesting. Yeah, the website's called Muddy Waters. Let me see if I can give you the right name for it. You can look it up. I'm going to give you the right name for it because that's the website. Oh, and it looks like Epstein took down somebody else. The CEO of Barclays now is gone. I guess he was dating too many underagers. There it is. Here we go. And the website is Clear as Mud. That's it. The website is called Clear as Mud. So you're thinking about the other one, right? Looking out my back door, maybe that, something like that, with Creedence. Lock my back door and all that stuff. Out the back door. Yes, indeed. All right. Yeah, Clear as Mud. Check that website out. Have I seen the rain? Oh, the song that? Let's see. I mean, I have somewhere along the line. I'm from the 60s, so I was in high school during the 60s. So definitely, That is, that's a soft, delicate song. It's not an upbeat song. That's what that is. Yeah, the rain one. I think that's a sad song of some form. But anyway, where did we leave off? Oh yes, Mexican peso. So let's close that out. Let's see. Let's see, where are we at? There we are. Let's jump over to the futures contracts now. Let's take a look at gold and silver and oil and some of the other sectors there and see how that all looks at the same time. But clear as mud. It's funny you brought up credence since the mud statement. How many times do you use mud twice in a few minutes, you know? There it is. Green River. Oh my God. All right, let's jump over there. And you can see we're looking at the oil again. Let's put it up on the J4X2 at the same time. I don't know if we looked at oil over on J4X. We just looked at the metals. You can see that bounce again going on right there. It's just like we are here on the Chicago side of it. And the weekly was never let go to begin with. They've been in a weekly buy for a while now, since the high 60s. So they're not exactly running away from this stuff. Someone told me a long time ago, there's a calm before the storm. Oh, yes. So it says, yeah. Well, you got to figure that QE is the calm. I mean, that would be a good way of looking at it. Yeah. All right, traders. Let's see what else. We're running out of time here, but let's see. What else can we look at really quick? Because I'm going to get out of here in the next minute or so. Let's see. The markets are going to open, and there's going to be action, ACTION. Let's see. I want to know, have you ever seen the rain coming on the sunny day? Oh, all the time. So, let's see. So what is it? I'll end this that way. How's that? Let's end this that way. There's a calmness before the storm. That's what it is. Yeah. Is it coming for some time? Let's see. What do you think? When it's over, so they say. Yes, exactly. It's rainy, a sunny day. I know. Shining down like water. That's right. Now I'm remembering it. I want to know. That's right. Ever seen the rain? That's right. All right, this is Doc from North America, ending with credence. Catch you all later. Everybody have a safe and smart day. We'll catch you on Tuesday.